AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
Hey, Will.
Hey, bud.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You soup. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Mel Kiper has his penultimate mock draft out. We'll get to that and some draft odds for the Saints at 8. That's coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now. LSU practiced on Tuesday. They opened it to the media, so it's been interesting. After in my opinion, what has been really interesting is after the first 8 practices of spring. Media had access to 7 of the 8, but our access was limited. We got to watch about 25 minutes, one very short team period, mostly individual work. So a lot of what you could see was just visual, meaning who's there, who's not, who physically looks good, who doesn't. Is anyone limited? Trades Green in a gold no-contact jersey, Whit Weeks not participating. You get the point. Like the hurry-up period, the quick 6, as they call it, the 11-on-11 period. Devin Harper was running at left guard. They made the switch last week to Bo Bordelon. That sort of stuff. It's really hard to draw any conclusions to anything otherwise. Well, you do your best, and then Saturday we get to go watch a scrimmage. 2.5 hours in Tiger Stadium, more than 100 plays. We get to watch the whole thing. Well, now you can extrapolate more. And then from that, but it was just one practice, then we go Tuesday and get to watch the whole practice. And you get to see individuals in team periods and goal line and short yardage and 11-on-11 and 7-on-7, a lot of different stuff. And now you can either confirm or disconfirm opinions or further build a case for something because your sample size is growing. That makes sense, right? Like the more information you have, like the better you can support or discredit whatever your thesis may be. Well, one of the things that I think I and many who have gone and watched this team practice in the limited and then larger sample size have sort of deduced is Dilin Jones, the running back transfer from Wisconsin, looks really good. And a big part of it, and if you were to go back and listen to quite literally the first practice report from the first day of spring when we got to go out there, one of the first observations I made, keeping in mind, this was before they even had on shoulder pads. It was helmets, jerseys, and shorts. One of the things that was very obvious from jump was that Dilin Jones was different physically from all the other running backs. They have him listed at 5'11", 211. Sometimes those heights and weights on the roster give the player too much credit. Like Ole Miss lists Trinidad Chambliss at 6'1". If Trinidad Chambliss is 6'1", then I have a full head of hair. Okay, let's be honest about some things. I think Dilin Jones is bigger than 5'11", 211. But you look at Harlem Berry, who they have at 5'10", 187. Look, I've stood next to Harlem. I've interviewed him. I've been with him, next to him on the field, away from the field. He's been in the studio. I don't think Harlem Berry's 5'10". They got Stacey Gage at 5'10", 206. That's generous. Rod Gainey, 5'9", 183. Racine Guillory, the transfer from Utah, 5'10", 179. Caden Durham, 5'9", 200. Maybe a big part of why Jones looks bigger is because he's next to guys that are 5'8", 5'9". And so when he's 5'11", and he's 3-4 inches taller than those guys, like, it shows. So that's one thing, right? Just if you don't see them run a single drill, you can walk out there and go, 13's bigger than all those guys. And he is. So he's he is put together. Like, his legs are bigger, his torso is bigger, his arms are bigger. He's bigger. He's just a bigger guy than all the other ones. And then, so you notice that, and then you start to watch, like, some of the team periods. And he's taking some of the reps with the ones. And so you're like, okay, well, there's Jones and Berry and Gage and Gainey and Guillory and Durham. That's 6 scholarship running backs, including 4 that they got out of the portal, adding to it Berry and Durham. And you go, all right, well, if 13 is there rotating with Berry and Durham, well, that means 13 is sort of ascended ahead of the other transfers. So you can start to deduce these things, right? Like, this is all without Lane Kiffin saying anything. It's just us watching the smaller sample size. And then on Tuesday, we go out there, and they're running the short yardage goal line period. If you missed it, we talked about this in the practice report, but they ran a short yardage goal line period. So they started at midfield, and they ran a 3rd and 3, and then a 4th and 1. And then they went to the goal line and ran 1st and goal from the 5, 2nd and goal from the 3, 3rd and goal from the 2. So they ran 5 plays. And Dilin Jones was taking carries on the 2 play on, 1st and, or 3rd and 2 at midfield, or 4th. There was a 4th and 1 play where they hand it off to him between the tackles and he gets 2 yards, and they go run at the goal line. And there was a short yardage period where they're at the 10-yard line, and he scored twice taking handoffs from the 10. Once he hit a guy, did a spin move, got into the end zone. Another time he hits a guy, bounces right, and gets to the pylon. Like, you can go, okay, like, this guy looks different than all of them. And, like, my eyes aren't deceiving me. Like, he's doing things the other guys aren't doing. Now, that's not to say the other backs don't have a great skill set. I mentioned this yesterday. Like, Tuesday, there was a play in that same short yardage period where they gave Harlem Berry a carry, and he wiggled through the line of scrimmage and, boo, afterburners. 40 yards out, touchdown. 2 defensive backs were converging. They took a bad angle because they totally misjudged Harlem Berry's speed. He went, boom, right, split him and scored 40 yards out. Like, Dilin Jones ain't doing that. So just different skill sets, but effective either way that it goes. And so, like, I think we've all said this over the 10 practices that we've seen. And then on Tuesday, we're meeting with Lane Kiffin after practice, and he's asked specifically about Dilin Jones, and he goes, yeah, sure.
He looks really good, has come in and been good in protection, been good in his vision, his feet, running the ball, and has been really a bright spot. Like I said, where offensively we've struggled to find those. And obviously, again, the tackling part, is a difference in that position specifically. But for a guy that wasn't a headliner, he's played like it. And that's really critical, because that spot is extremely critical to have somebody or a number of people that, again, just like the quarterback spot, makes the plays when everybody's not blocked up and makes the significant plays. And he's done that.
I mean, it's very obvious, and one that I think is very encouraging. What I am going to be most interested to see is how this offense manages the running game. Lane Kiffin last week talked about the importance of it. This was it. This was Lane Kiffin last week talking about the importance of improving the running game.
Really high on our list. Very big challenge to get that fixed, and that takes a lot of things. It's a system thing, it's a personnel thing, and so getting here and going to work on that. And in my opinion, you can't run the ball. You got problems, not just offensively, but as a team. It's just part of your personality, and we've always really stressed that. Over time, we've run the ball as well as anybody over the years, the last two places we've been, and it's looked different with different types of running backs. So, like you alluded to, major issue last year and really for a few years here. And so that's high on our list because it sets up everything. Everybody knows that sets up throwing the ball and play action, but to me, it sets your whole team up.
Okay, so we know they got to run the ball. That's always been a Kiffin thing. Like, as much as we talk about the tempo and people assume they're pass happy, they always run the football very well at Ole Miss and everywhere Kiffin has been. The difference is, in 6 years at Ole Miss, in 5 of the 6 years, the second leading rusher was the quarterback. Like, they generally have a bell cow and then the quarterback. His second year at Ole Miss, was 2021, was a year where they really divvied up those reps among 4 players, 3 running backs and the quarterback. It was Jerrion Ealy, who had 133 rushes. Snoop Connor had 130. Matt Corral, actually, the quarterback, had the most rushing attempts, but was the third leading rusher at 152 attempts. And then Henry Parrish had 105. So they had 4 that had over 100 rushing attempts. That could be the case this year with Berry, Durham, Jones, and then Sam Levitt. Like, that could be the case this year at LSU. But if that is the case, it's probably an outlier given the history of Lane with his running backs. He generally likes to lean on one guy. And sometimes it's a guy that you're not really expecting to be that guy. Because I know we are all very impressed with what Kewan Lacey did last year at Ole Miss, and you should be. He was an All-American. He ran for 1,500 yards last year. He was great, averaged 5 yards a carry. He had 306 rushing attempts. But what we lose sight of sometimes with Kewan Lacey is he didn't go to Ole Miss with this history of being a dominant back. As a freshman at Missouri a year prior, he ran the ball 23 times. Not in a game, in the season. This was a nobody. Went to Missouri, ran the ball 23 times as a freshman, goes to Ole Miss, All-American. So sometimes it just takes the right person in the right system. So when you look at Dilin Jones, again, you're talking about a guy who comes from Wisconsin, who redshirted as a freshman in 2024, and then last year in 2025, he started 7 games and then was lost for the rest of the season on account of turf toe. Yes, he had a toe. It was very disappointing. It was very disappointing that Dilin Jones had a toe.
A toe is always very disappointing, and it can really cost you.
He had a toe. The toe cost him.
Looks like he's doing okay, though. He doesn't have the toe anymore.
He does not have a toe anymore.
There you go.
He had the toe. Doesn't have the toe anymore.
It's good. It's good for LSU.
Full go.
Full go.
No toe for Dilin Jones. Anyway, love talking about toes. You got a toe. Dilin Jones. Through 10 practices, definitely a bright spot. 13, get used to the name and the number. I'll tell you one more offensively is Malik Elzy, 88, receiver from Illinois. Those two, I would say, have been the biggest splash newcomers that I've noticed. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Love telling you about our friends at South Point Volkswagen because I've been a customer for 15 years now at South Point Volkswagen. Whenever we started endorsing South Point, I've told you the story many times. I said, before I endorse you, I want to drive every different model that you have. I'd never driven a Volkswagen before. Went and drove every single model that they had, fell in love with it. It's all Erica and I drive now. She has an Atlas. I have a Cross Sport. I've driven the CC. I've driven a Passat. I've driven the Atlas before I had the Cross Sport. I love it. If you want a sedan, if you want a compact, mid-size, full-size SUV, they got everything you can imagine. And they'll always give you a great deal. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highlander, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Hump Day Show is brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. We're going to knock out a quick break. Yesterday, we did talk a little bit about Zion Williamson. We played his comments from his end-of-season press conference. Joe Dumars also met with reporters. So I want to get to that in about 15 minutes from right now with the Pels GM. Had to say about the future of the organization. We'll do that. But when we come back, Mel Kiper's penultimate mock draft is out. Many of you have seen it by now. What he's got the Saints doing at 8, where he's got Mansour Delane going. It's a 2-round mock. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
And our Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Listen, I say it often, I know. Funny name, funny logo. I get it. It's attention grabbing. It works. But they're more than just ED. If you have ED, they've got options for you. More than just the pills. They got pills. They got injections. They've got topical. They got so many different options if you do struggle with ED. But it's so much more. Hormone replacement therapy is something that has become so commonplace, so mainstream now. I love that the stigma is removed from that, and I strongly recommend that you go get your blood labs tested. Because so often you don't know how bad you feel until you start feeling good again. You want to have better waking energy. You want to clear brain fog, have energy throughout the day, be able to burn fat, build muscle, better libido, everything like you did when you were in your 20s. It's possible. Lowest prices, never any contracts. It's Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. YourGoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit YourGoodwood.com.
Uh, 40 minutes from right now, we'll announce the winner of our next Purple, Gold, and Cold prize pack winner. Hat tip to our friends over at Mockler Beverage, Bud Light, official beer of the LSU Tigers, and the official beer of AFR. They loaded us up. 5 cases of beer, the Bud Light LSU baseball jersey, some national championship koozies, some 104.5 ESPN swag. 1 winner a day, every day this week, leading you up to the A&M series. If you want to enter, all you have to do is text Drink Easy to 225-499-1045. Listen to the number, 225-499-1045, 499-1045. Text Drink Easy to 225-499-1045. You got to be 21 to win, of course, because you're winning beer here. But 225-499-1045. Text Drink Easy to 225-499-1045. We'll announce our third winner coming up in about 40 minutes from right now at the top of hour number 3. 8 days away from the NFL draft. Mel Kiper has his penultimate mock draft out there. He did a 2-round mock, so the top 64 picks in the draft. And the New Orleans Saints at number 8, he's got taking Ruben Bain, the defensive end out of Miami. He notes that if the Commanders select Bain at 7, that Carnell Tate could be the pick for the New Orleans Saints, saying that the boards in Washington and New Orleans might actually look similar in this range. But he has Tate going to pick earlier to the Commanders. And also notes that there should be a lot of receiver options in round 2 to fill the void opposite of Chris Olave. So Kiper has the Saints going elite defensive player round 1 at 8 overall. And then very likely you would assume filling the receiver need in round 2. Amina Kimes, ESPN, had this to say about Bain.
Ruben Bain Jr. is a complete edge. Talked about, how he uses his size, his leverage against probably rushing the passer, but oh boy, he can play the run. I mean, the play strength, the agility, plays multiple gaps, the disruptiveness, he gets in the backfield, and then the motor, chasing guys down into the flats for the backside. It runs super hot. So if you're, drafting him, I think it comes with a comfort level knowing that you are getting an every down player who does have a high floor. I think the question is, where is the ceiling? Is he going to be a double-digit sack guy with a lack of length, maybe inhibit his numbers in that way? But I do think he can contribute immediately.
As we get closer to the draft, it's pretty clear the Saints have 2 real primary options. You either go with the best receiver available at 8, get a real, true, game-breaking receiver, or in a draft that is seemingly deep at receiver, you go best defensive player at 8 and get a receiver in round 2. For what it's worth, the betting favorite right now over at DraftKings to go 8 overall is Ruben Bain from Miami at plus 350. Carnell Tate and Mansour Delane, along with Jordan Tyson, are all next at plus 425. So if Bain's there, the odds makers think Bain's the pick. If not, it's do you go DB or receiver? That's sort of the options for New Orleans. Then you have a big drop-off before you get to Jermon McCoy. Another defensive back, Caleb Downs at plus 800 is there. And you got some real stretches there. Mekhi Lemon at plus 1,000, Sonny Styles at plus 1,500. It just doesn't seem like the Saints are going to go any direction other. So the question really is for New Orleans, are you going, like, where do you see the value, the greater value? Is the greater value going best receiver at 8 or best defensive player at 8, and in a draft that is deep at receiver, picking that receiver at 42? Kiper has the Saints going with Bain at 8 and then going with the receiver at 42, in this case, KC Concepcion from Texas A&M. And he notes, Saints are giving Tyler Shuck the tools for success. They signed Travis Etienne and guard David Edwards. Still lacking the wide receiver behind Chris Olave. He notes Concepcion is elusive. Could slot in as the number 2 wideout after 919 yards and 9 touchdowns last season for Texas A&M. Now, KC Concepcion is a really intriguing prospect. Started his career at NC State. Was a highly productive player at NC State. Went into the transfer portal because he knew he could maximize value. Ends up at Texas A&M and has an incredible season. Averaged 15 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns. He is a big play threat. Here's the problem for me with Concepcion. He's Chris Olave. He's 5'11", 190. In a vacuum, I really like KC Concepcion. I would like to have him on my team. But we don't live in a vacuum. The New Orleans Saints have a bunch of small receivers. And please spare me Devon Vele. I hope Vele becomes a great receiver. But he was not productive in Denver. They traded him to New Orleans for a 7th-round pick. He stunk for the beginning of the season, had a small sample size of success, then was injured and missed the remainder of the season last year. He had 25 catches for 293 yards a season ago. I mean, if you look at the beginning of the season, he had 6 catches through the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He had 6 catches in 9 games. 6 catches in 9 games. And then he went 3-8 against Miami, 3-5. He was injured and missed the rest of the season. Could he be a 60-catch guy? Sure, could. Or maybe he's the guy that catches 6 passes in 8 games. Like, I don't know. But I'm not going to take that risk, assuming, yep, you got Vela, he's good. I want a bigger-bodied receiver. So when I look at the receivers available in this draft class that could be available for New Orleans and the options, like, it's why Carnell Tate at 8 overall is so intoxicating, because you have the big receiver who can also fly. It's why you see that receiver projected as a top 10 potential pick in the draft. It's because he's got that rare combination of both size and the game-breaking speed. You look at some of these second-round guys, Jeremy Bernard is there as well. Again, a very productive receiver at Alabama, but a small guy. I gotta have, if you're gonna go defense at 8, great. When you go receiver at 42, which in theory you would, I just got to see a receiver there that's got some size. Give me the 6'2" guy with real reach, with a big wingspan. What you see in a lot of those picks there around round 2 are Concepcion, Jeremy Bernard, Zachariah Branch. Really good players, productive players who could be very good players in New Orleans or anywhere in the NFL. I just think you got to be looking at somebody. It's why Chris Bell, quite honestly, the Louisville receiver who tore his ACL this past year, is so interesting to me because he is the guy that had the super high first-round ceiling and has the size and the game-breaking ability. He's just limited by injury. 6'2", 220. Like, that's a guy that looks different than any of the other receivers you have. So we'll see what direction they go. But if the Saints go defense at 8, receiver at 42, I'm good. Just need a big-bodied receiver at 42. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We are brought to you by Parish Restoration. ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. Call Parish Restoration. Jim Woodworth, a veteran-owned business. He's an Air Force veteran. Great dude. I've told you Jim's story a lot throughout the years. A guy who, when his military career ended, was in disaster relief up in New York City post 9/11, helping with the recovery efforts there. Came here after the BP oil spill. I should say came back to the Gulf Coast. Spent a lot of time actually stationed in the Gulf Coast when he was in the Air Force. But great guy and an incredible business. A patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. They'll come spray your home, your office building, any size commercial or residential building. It's ParishRestoration.com. It's more cost-effective. It's more effective. It's efficient. They can fog your home in half a day. ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Aaron Torres had to bump. He was supposed to be with us here today. Talk a little Will Wade. A lot of people have asked about Wade and the transfer portal and how that's going. It's interesting because with all of the avalanche of emotion and attention surrounding Will Wade coming to LSU, I think we anticipated there might be some early fireworks. That just hasn't happened. They've yet to land a transfer portal addition yet. And Jalen Reese is the only player from last year's team still on the roster. So you got a lot of work to do, but yet to make any additions. So we'll continue to wait and see how this may happen. Making a few calls today. I was told they're very busy and that they're hopeful with some players that are out there. It's going well with a lot of interest, but nothing confirmed yet as of adding any players via the portal. As that develops, we'll certainly keep you posted. All right. Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. All right, quick break. Come back. Joe Dumars met with reporters a day ago. Well, let's hear what the Pels GM had to say about the future of the organization, including some very direct comments about Zion's future in New Orleans. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you need to hire, you need Glow Resources. Can't say it any more plainly than that. This is not a temp staffing agency. So if you're looking for a job, don't call Glow. They'll find you. That's what I like to say. But it's GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. Who they want to talk to is you, the business owner, you, the HR manager, the hiring coordinator, the ops manager. They are complete employer solutions, as they like to say. They're not looking to the employee. They're looking to you, the employer. So if you need skilled blue-collar labor, they can help you find that. If you need any type of office job, their professional placement division can help over at Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com, and they help businesses all over the country find employees all over the world. glowresources.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
The Dreams Come True Radiothon, presented by the Baton Rouge Clinic, starts April 20th. Your donations help grant dreams for Louisiana children battling life-threatening illnesses. At $1,000, our Purple sponsors match the donations, and at $2,000, our Gold sponsors match as well. Thanks to First American Bank and Boudreaux's Electric, along with Chad's Collision, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and River Parish Contractors for making it all happen.
We're a talented team, but we're just not consistent enough. Talent alone doesn't win. You need all of those other elements to win. Yeah, we have talent, but if you think you're just going to roll talent out on the NBA court and that's all you need to do to win, not going to happen. And so, you ask the question, that would be my answer. Talented team, We're not consistent enough. We got to get tougher. All those things have to happen.
Joe Dumars, in his season wrap press conference, talking about the Pelicans. There's, I think there's two gigantic questions facing this team in this offseason after a 26-56 finish. By the way, at 26-56, the Pelicans were third in the division.
I'm sorry. Run that back one more time. At what?
At 26-56, the Pelicans were third in the division. Third in the division.
All right, cool. Good 30 games below 500.
And somehow, Dallas and Memphis were worse.
Ooh.
But Dallas is actually a great test case, right? I mean, now look, they trade Luka. They get the first round draft, the first overall pick. I'm not interested in your conspiracy theories. Believe what you want. I don't care. But they lane Cooper Flag. But the point is, what we talked about, with Jake Madison a day ago was relevant in that young talent doesn't win in the NBA. Typically, it's not until year 3 that young talent wins, which is why you could be excited about Jeremiah Fears and Derek Quinn. You should be excited about that young talent. But you're not going to win anything of significance with young talent in the NBA. The young talent's got to mature and grow and develop. So anyway, the point is you got to develop consistency through some continuity. So there's two primary questions, and not having your first round pick because this is an awful organization that did not top 10 protect their draft pick. Man, just every time I say it out loud, it's just nauseating. Anyway, that's when you're a terrible organization, you make terrible decisions, and that's the problem with this organization. But there's two things. Number one, it's you got to hire a coach. And number two, it's what do you do with Zion? Well, let's start with Zion. Remember, we let you hear from Zion a day ago where he said, in no uncertain terms, New Orleans is home. He wants to be here. He's been here since he was 19, loves the city, lives in the city, doesn't leave in the offseason. This is his home. He wants to be here as long as the Pelicans want him here. So, Joe Dumars, do you want Zion Williamson here? Could he be traded?
We have no intentions of doing that. We're going into the offseason looking forward to Zion coming back next year and playing great again next year. But, yeah, these phone calls come in and people ask about a player and you say no. And then 2 hours later, it's like, yeah, they had a conversation about a player. And I'm going, that's true. But you left out maybe the most important part, which is we said no.
Makes a lot of sense. And I do agree. And you have a core. We talked about the young guys with Fears and Queen, and you still got Trey Murphy, and you have one of the best defenders in the league when he's healthy, and Herb Jones. And then obviously Zion can be a transcendent player when he's healthy and right, and he was this year, which was great to see. Averaged 21 points a game, played 62 games. So there is talent. I mean, Joe Dumars isn't wrong in that respect. You have to develop consistency and an identity and experience together. It wouldn't serve you to move Zion unless if you got a transcendent type player. And I don't know that Zion has that value right now because he hasn't shown the ability to be that player consistently. So if Zion stays in place, which we're all assuming he will, the other big question is about the coaching search. And here's what Dumars had to say about the coaching search.
We're going to go through this process. We're going to have a good list of guys. I'll just leave it at that and say we're going to figure out what's best for New Orleans. That's the only thing I'm really concerned about. So let me just say this. You can have someone for a long time that's a possible candidate, and you have a great relationship with them. But what if they're not good for the players? You know what I mean? So the idea that someone and that makes them a candidate, yeah, that might be good for me personally, but I'm not playing anymore. These 15 guys, you got to find who's right for those 15 guys in that building. That's the only thing that matters. All this stuff with relationships and he knew him and he played, it really doesn't matter.
It's hard to imagine James Borrego getting this job. Borrego was the head coach in Charlotte for 4 seasons. He was 138 and 168. They did make the play-in tournament his final 2 seasons in Charlotte, but never made the playoffs in those 4 years. He's 48 years old. He's been an assistant at San Antonio, with New Orleans, with the Magic, other places. And the record wasn't good with Borrego, but he took over 12 games into the season. They were 2-10. They fire Willie Green. They promote Borrego. He goes 24-46 as the head coach. But I also think it's relevant that you're talking about a guy that didn't have the opportunity to go through an entire offseason with his team. He inherited a team, and he had to build the bridge as he crossed it, so to speak, this year. What could it look like if you had an entire offseason with Borrego and his vision and the opportunity to build and grow and develop this team? So Dumars was asked about Borrego, if he's a candidate.
Yes, James Borrego is a candidate. No, we don't have a list yet in terms of ready to put it out publicly anyway. But, we have an internal conversations, but definitely James is a candidate for this job permanently going forward.
I think it's an easy thing to say, sure, he's a candidate, and you could even interview him, but is it just the token interview, the courtesy interview, or is there legitimacy behind his candidacy? That's the challenging part to know. My guess is that Joe Dumars is coming in here as an executive with eyes on bringing in his own guy as the president of basketball operations. It's hard to imagine when you're given the keys to the organization that you promote the assistant who was made interim after you fired the coach 12 games in. The real mistake was not firing Willie Green last year. That was the real mistake, was letting Willie Green go through another entire offseason thinking that's going to be your vision, and 12 games in the season, you cut ties. And then this whole season was wasted development of your young players and everything associated. So I would not be opposed to seeing James Borrego have an opportunity to build some consistency and develop these guys in his image and vision. Really good defensive-minded coach. That'd be exciting. Mostly because what are your options? Are you either go the retread NBA coach route, which you did with Stan Van Gundy. You go the first-time head coach route where you try to get the assistant like you did with Monty and with Alvin Gentry. I mean, I think the thing Joe Dumars said that's right is you got to find the guy that's the best fit to relate to this group of 15 players. Because I don't think you're overhauling this roster. You don't have a bunch of free agents, and you certainly have the draft capital to bring in new guys to mold within a new organization. It's who fits what these guys do well. And go try to maximize it. It'll be an interesting offseason. Hope they don't screw it up. But history shows they will. I know I'm just a ray of sunshine here today, right? Just what it is, man. They're a terrible organization. Love them in spite of themselves. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana. Tell you everyday name brand tires at wholesale prices. They keep you coming back because they treat you like family. Go to ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Charlie's Dozen, a dozen benefits extended to every vehicle in your home when you buy your tires at Shaw Bills. So buy the best tire on the road at the cheapest price possible, and then you get a dozen benefits like free tire rotations. And remember, they'll always repair your tires for free. Actually, whether you bought the tire at Shaw Bills or not, they offer free tire repairs. And I know it says with the purchase and installation of new tires, but they just do right by you. It's what Mr. Charlie said when he opened up the doors in 1968. It's the way you treat people, and you treat them right, and they're going to be loyal to you. And it's worked for nearly 6 decades. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills. We keep you rolling. All right, y'all. Let's knock out our final break of hour number 2. When we come back, Muse will do Tigers and the Pros. A busy third hour is still staring us straight in the face. I do want to talk. Brian Kelly, by the way, if you missed it, might very well have a new job. And I want to dive into that and how maybe if you were reading the tea leaves, this wasn't actually very hard to see. Again, we'll dive into that next hour. And also, in about 15 minutes, 16 minutes from right now, Lane Kiffin said something at the end. It was the second to last question in his press conference on Tuesday. He said something that was bold, underscore, giant flashing lights statement, which gives clarity to something we said a lot during the transfer portal era, which gives you real insight into how Lane Kiffin is approaching this phase of his career. I know that's deep. I'll explain what I mean. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. We'll do that in about 15 minutes. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, we are officially now in pool season. We're going to get up to 90 degrees before this weekend is out. Duplessis Pools can help you put that beautiful resort-style show pool in your backyard. No matter how big, whatever custom finishes you want, Duplessis Pools can build your beautiful custom pool. Now, it's also worth noting that maybe you don't want a big, giant resort-style pool. Maybe you want a cocktail pool. Maybe you want something smaller, just something more subtle. Maybe you have a pool that needs to be renovated or remodeled. It's just dated or there's a lot of wear and tear on it. Duplessis Pools can rebuild or remodel your current pool. Just go to the website, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. Start there. They give you a 10-year workmanship warranty, and you will be thrilled with their work. duplessisbuilders.net.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Wrapping up hour 2, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Check them out, yourgoodwood.com. Muso, Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, we'll start with Aaron Nola. Nola towed the rubber for the Phils last night against the Cubbies. Went 5 innings, did surrender 8 hits and 3 earned. Walked 2, struck out 5.
Okay.
Got the no decision in that ball game.
And
Alex Bregman. No. Got the better of Aaron Nola a little bit last night at times. Ended up driving in 3. One of those RBI hits came off of Bregman. 3 for 5.
It came off of Bregman.
Excuse me, it came off from Nola. 3 for 5.
Bregman RBI hit came off of Bregman.
Yeah, he just
talented guy.
Like in the backyard, just threw the ball up, swung the bat. That old trick.
Guy.
3 for 5. They were all singles in the 3 RBI. The Cubs got the win 10-4.
How many of the hits came off of Nola?
One. Nola got him the first time around. Bregman got him the time after that.
How'd he get it?
It was a single. It was an RBI single.
No. How did Nola get
That I'm not sure, actually. I'd have to look. Let's see. Bregman did strike out once. I'd have to look at the play-by-play, though. Kevin Gausman was on the bump for the Toronto. No. For the Toronto Blue Jays, 5 innings, 3 earned for him as well. Struck out 5. Also got a no decision, but the Jays did win that game. Get started on some minor league baseball. Tommy White is off to a blistering start. No, I actually don't know where he went to high school, but it was in Florida. He was 1 for 3, hitting .372 though so far in the A's organization in Double-A. The one was a single. It drove in a run, and he would later come around to score as well. Dylan Cruz is in minor league baseball right now. Started the season at AAA with the Red Wings and the Nationals organization. 1 for 5 a night ago. That was a single, punched out twice as well. He's hitting .245. And NBA play-in action tonight. Trendon Watford will be in action with the Philadelphia 76ers as they host the Orlando Magic. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by First South Farm Credit, FirstSouthLand.com, FirstSouthLand.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You look at the calendar. You see what today is, Muse? What's today? What's the date today?
April 15th.
You know what that is?
Tax day.
Ooh. Who else hates taxes?
Yeah, I do. My hand's in the air.
And my hand's in the air. People are like, oh, it's American to pay taxes. No, it's not. We're a country founded upon hating taxes. We had a bunch of people that threw tea in a harbor because they hated taxes. We didn't institute the tax code until this century. Well, I guess early 1900s. Whatever. All that to say, still got to pay taxes. And sometimes you're looking for tax opportunities. Look, and owning recreational timber property could certainly be a great tax benefit. So talk to your CPA, see if that would make sense, and then call First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com, FirstSouthLand.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Nola struck out Bregman in the first, by the way. Cali High!
AFR.
But I do love Bregman. All right, it's after further review. Hour number 3, staring you straight in the face. We are brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com. ARCCO, 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 and Arco was their name. Oh, I'm just giving away free marketing advice here. I mean, don't you think they should do that? I think that would be smart.
Yeah, no, I need to hear that jingle like on our airwaves.
Mr. Toby Tomplay could do it.
He absolutely could.
There was a generator company. Arco was their name. Oh, ARCCO. No, I better stop that. They're going to be like, oh, we are dropping this sponsorship immediately. Hey, here's what you need to know. Everything they do is turnkey. They're an awesome company. This is industrial Generac generator power. So it's standby generators, but not for your home. It's standby generators for your business. What business? Any business, any size. Industrial facilities, municipalities, sell, service, rent. They do it all. Install Arco.com. Arco.com.